Hey there, friends. Joining us now on another episode of Unroad Download, presented by BMC here at Belgian Waffle Ride, North Carolina, is none other than my man, Brennan Wertz. Brennan was a big hit here last year in his bust-out year on the gravel racing scene. Buddy, welcome back. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, still a little tired from Unbound last weekend.
I'll bet.
But had a fairly mellow week, so enjoying just checking out the scenes here, really enjoying Asheville. Spent a few days in Asheville and got linked up with a local shop, did some cool casual group rides, and just, loving being out here. It's totally different than California, and yeah, love the riding out here.
You kind of burst onto the scene in a big way last year. This event, you had a sprint finish down at the end. What do you remember the most here from that race last year?
I really remember hitting the descents hard. It seemed like everyone was fit and fast, and the climbs were super hard, but last year we managed to keep the front group fairly together. Like, no one was able to really split it up on the climbs because of the horsepower that we had. So the race last year, it felt like it was really coming down more to the descents. So a lot of the descents were really decisive. I remember some of the pro mountain biker guys were really putting guys like myself and Ian Boswell, who come from, a road background, or myself, another sport background, who maybe don't have the years and years of pro mountain bike experience under pressure. So we were, trying to chase back on after some descents, or really trying to fight to stay in the group on those descents more so than on the climbs, up until, of course, that last climb. And then that's really the deciding factor last year. And I did surprise myself. I had better legs than I thought I would, and was able to just kind of ease into it steady at the base, and then just kind of keep passing some guys, and then I ended up with Adam Roberge over the crest of it, and we worked together back to the finish, and then came through here in this little super slick wet grass cyclocross-esque sprint finish, and I was on slicks and could just feel I had very little traction in the wet grass, and he had a little shoulder knob and took this insane line. I mean, it's still like nothing I've ever seen before. He leaned the bike over so far, like it was MotoGP. Ripped it around the corner, came inside of me, and then he got me in the sprint. So he was second, I was third, and of course Ian Boswell was who knows how far up the road after blasting that climb. But yeah, it was an awesome event last year. Really enjoyed it, and I hear this year the course has got some added components to it that'll make it more interesting.
But 25 or so miles and another couple thousand feet.
Yeah, and that too. So excited, a little nervous as always, but I think that's a good sign. It's always good to be nervous ahead of these, and looking forward to it.
A tough race last week in Kansas. 200 miles to take it out of anybody. Body's starting to respond back now. We got a few days of rest underneath you.
Yeah, I think yesterday was the first day where I was starting to feel a little bit better. I've been catching up on sleep, getting a lot of 8 to 10 hour nights, and waking up after 10 hours of sleep and still feeling like I could sleep another couple hours. So trying to really rest and take it easy. I haven't really ridden more than 2 hours this week, just pretty low key. But yeah, I really enjoyed Unbound. It was not quite the experience I'd hoped for, with a big tire slash early on.
Okay, I was going to ask, because how did the race go down? We remember seeing you in the lead group for a while, and then all of a sudden you were back in a big chase group. Was there a mechanical? You have a big tire issue?
It was the one kind of point in the race where the pace chilled out for a second after we hit the first 30-40 miles pretty hard. Sat up, I had my burrito.
Nice,
I was able to actually get
frozen burrito is a big training tip for him. Keep a frozen burrito in your pocket. That's your fuel all throughout the day.
So I got my burrito down, was sitting a little bit further back in the group in this kind of chill section, and big rock rolled off someone's wheel in front of me, straight into mine, hit the sidewall, put a big cut in the tire. Put a big Dynaplug in, a small Dynaplug in, hit it with the CO2. It was holding it first, but then it started to leak, and had to stop. And then my second CO2 was in my saddlebag, so I had to get that out, put another plug in, do another CO2. And then at that point, I was already a couple minutes down off the front group, and chased my way back to what seemed like the main chase group, or the second chase group, and rode with them for the majority of the day. Felt great. Those cooler temperatures really suited me well. I enjoyed the mud. I was on a slick tire, so some of the really greasy, really slick mud was a little bit interesting. But I did.
Interesting, that's what they call it.
Yeah, interesting, wild, pretty low traction. I did have, unfortunately, two guys in front of me through the first slick section. The one guy crashed, took the second guy out, and then I was able to slow down quite a bit, but because there's so little traction, I still ended up kind of washing my rear tire and sitting down on my tailbone and had actually crashed on my tailbone the week prior before Unbound. So the tailbone has taken a little bit of a
little tender these days
the last few weeks. So that's tender, but after this past week, it's feeling much better.
Good. Let's talk about this beautiful new Pinarello machine that you're on. Any major changes from last year? I noticed knobby tires maybe instead of the slicks. Did we learn a lesson there, or what do you got?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as moist and wet as it was last year.
It couldn't be. It couldn't be any more moist or wet.
We had quite the downpour towards the end of the day, but I think this slick tire, it rolls super fast on the road. We do have a ton of road here in this year's event. So having a tire that rolls quick on the road is a really important factor. But this offers a little bit more traction, especially in the wet grass. So should it come down to a sprint, I'm a little bit more prepared. But my main focus this year is making sure that I'm putting myself in the right position to get to that final climb and still have something left.
Any gearing considerations given all the climbing that's going to happen?
Not really. I've got the same exact gear ratio I had for Unbound. It's fairly stiff gear, knowing that to be in contention, I'm going to have to ride that gear up that climb. And if I'm looking for an easier gear, I'm out of contention for the race anyway at that point. So not quite 1-to-1, but know that that's kind of a common gear ratio for a lot of the guys here racing at the front of the race.
Right on. That's exactly where you'll be, my man. I know it.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Brennan Wertz joining us here on this episode of Unroad Download. Look for him at the front of the race all day on our coverage tomorrow. Thanks for looking in.